Welcome back to another UK space news update with action from SpaceX's Transporter 8 mission carrying 2 UK-based payloads. We've also had some new progress images from Saxavord spaceport, another update from Skyrora, news from Astroscale, and much more. So stick around and let's get going.
All Roger, liftoff and the clock is started.
Alright everyone, we start this week with a bit of a catch-up and news from SpaceX's Transporter 8 mission. Launching on Monday the 12th of June from Vandenberg Space Force Base, this flight saw 72 payloads sent to sun-synchronous orbit. Booster 1071 marked its 9th flight overall, having previously flown 4 Starlink missions and launched NASA's SWAP mission in December 2022, which I covered on this channel. On this flight was Alba Orbital's 5th batch of satellites, housed within their bespoke Alba pods, including Alba's own Unicorn 21 picosat as part of their Earth observation constellation known as ALAN, or Artificial Light at Night. This satellite will provide high-resolution imagery of the Earth during hours of darkness, enabling monitoring of light pollution amongst other applications. There were also pocket-cube satellites from around the world, including Ariel University's SATLA-21, an educational platform designed to test free space optical communications. Hello Space from Istanbul for Internet of Things services. MRC-100 from Budapest, which has wide-spectrum monitoring capabilities designed to be used by students, tracking the satellite using ham radios. EURSat-1 by AMSAT EA is interesting as it's an open educational satellite which transmits an FM radio voice and FSK data on repeat. We had the ROM-2, designed by students at the International Informatics High School of Bucharest in Romania. It's a 1P CubeSat equipped with a 2 megapixel camera, allowing it to take images of the Earth, and it has a digital repeater allowing students to track it using amateur radio. So well done to all those amazing young talents out there, and I can't wait to see what you guys do next. Also on Transporter 8 was SatView's HotSat-1. I talked about this in my last video, and it is of course SatView's thermal imaging satellite, designed as the test platform to showcase the various thermal imaging capabilities of the satellite. Built by Surrey Satellite Technology Limited and based on their own dark car platform, the HotSat-1, recently renamed, will allow companies and governments to monitor energy efficiency of whole cities right down to individual buildings, monitor climate change and support disaster relief operations. To do this, it'll use a 3.5mm resolution mid-wave infrared imaging camera, which has a sensitivity of less than 2 degrees Celsius. And the hopes are very high for this platform, as SatView are planning an entire constellation, having secured £128 million worth of customer commitments through their Early Access Option Programme, or EAP. And lastly, talk about milestones, but Transporter 8 saw Booster 1071 make SpaceX's 200th successful landing of a booster, having returned from orbit on this mission. It's just incredible to think, and we got this amazing time-lapse by SpaceX showing those landings over the past decade or so. It just absolutely blows my mind that we've had 200 landings from a booster. It's more successful than most launches from most companies around the world. It's just insane to think of where SpaceX started and where we are now. Next, we finally have some new images from Saxavord Spaceport. We can see that the foundations have been laid for the payload integration facility and main rocket hall. From this image here, it's safe to say that this area is either going to be for operations, possibly the control room, or is the start of the second launch pad named Elizabeth. What's interesting is that the facility, whatever it is, seems to be being built around these derelict old buildings. Now, I'm guessing they are of some sort of historic importance. They may be important to the area, or they may be military in nature. Certainly, if you have local knowledge of the area, do leave a comment below and let me know what those buildings are. Now, this next image I'm fairly certain is the main rocket hull, judging by the shape and size. Look at the van to the right of the foundations and it will give you a bit of scale. From the foundation work, we can see the outline of 4 distinct spaces within the building. Steelworks will be expected next, along with all of the fuel tanks around launch pad Fredo. I'm still curious as to whether the launch stool, as seen here, will also have a stabilization tower built, but we'll have to wait for the next batch of images to see what happens. We don't get them often, and these are a bit of a treat, but I hope that Saxavord bosses can see how releasing images really builds the fever and excitement for the progress of this site. Much like we get with Starbase on a daily basis, it really helps with public engagement and gives us all something really nice to look at. It's encouraging to see the signs and the continued progress from Saxavord, so well done to you guys, and I can't wait to see the next batch. Astroscale have announced plans to deorbit their ELSA-D satellite. This satellite, of course, is the demonstration mission which flew to orbit in 2021 and was used to demonstrate their space debris removal technology, and it successfully managed to rendezvous and capture a secondary client satellite in May 2022. With the mission at an end and a new mission on the horizon with ELSA-M, the team at Astroscale are now set to deorbit the spacecraft. To do this, they'll perform a series of short burns to gradually slow it down, allowing it to be captured by Earth's gravity and safely burn up on re-entry through the atmosphere. It's been a nice mission from this little spacecraft during its 2 years in space, and it will make way for its bigger sibling to take the stage with further on-orbit demonstrations when it launches in 2024. In European news, Spain's Miura 1, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, suffered another aborted launch this past week. This is the first Spanish-built reusable rocket, and it suffered a shutdown at the last minute in another aborted launch attempt by PLD Space. Now, we did at least get to see the main engines firing up and the countdown reach just about 0, but it seems that there was a delay in the release of the umbilical cables within the aviation bay, forcing PLD Space to scrub the launch. Miura 1 is inching ever closer, and hopefully the next time we see it, it'll take to the skies after PLD perform a full investigation and iron out those last little kinks. Now, similar to Skyrora's plans, PLD Space are using Miura 1 as a suborbital test platform for their larger planned Miura 5 orbital class rocket. The difference is, however, that PLD plan to recover Miura 1 from the ocean, making it Europe's first reusable rocket, flying on a fairly standard mix of kerosene and liquid oxygen. PLD have signed contracts recently with both Ariane Space and Orbex to further improve launch cadence across Europe, and the Miura 5 will launch from the European spaceport in French Guiana. Interestingly enough, this past week we were supposed to see the final ever launch of Europe's mighty Ariane 5. It was supposed to launch from French Guiana on the 16th of June, but that launch has now been postponed, with Ariane Space making this rather ominous statement. It seems that a fault has been discovered within the main pyrotechnic lines in the solid rocket boosters. Solid rocket boosters, for those unfamiliar, consist of multiple segments of solid propellant compacted down and designed to ignite immediately. With the Ariane 5, much like the SLS, it's the SRBs that do the bulk of the heavy lifting, generating immense amounts of immediate thrust, allowing it to get off the launch pad. With this being the last ever Ariane 5, if there are major problems with the boosters, there's no contingency and no replacement. The Ariane 6 is still in development, and even the best estimates out there put its readiness at mid-2024. Hopefully it's a less than serious issue though, and we get to see that mighty beast roar up the skies one final time. Now, we turn to another update from Skyrora. Boy, has this been a good past couple of weeks as far as news coming out of them is concerned. This week they announced that they are back to engine testing, but this time with the first fully 3D printed version of their 70 kilonewton Skyforce main engine. Coming out of the factory in Cumbernauld, Skyrora completed the printing in-house using their Skyprint 2 machine. They estimate that this new version of the engine is 66% faster to produce than a standard machined engine, and comes with a 20% cost saving on top of it. Engine testing has begun at their disused quarry site in Midlothian, close to their Edinburgh HQ, and we'll see the new engine put through its paces, including testing of the new cooling chamber. Each test will run for a 250-second full duration flight time to enable them to fully qualify the design, much like we saw from RFA a few weeks back. And also much like RFA, the Skyforce is also a closed cycle stage combustion engine, but this one will run on a mix of high test peroxide and kerosene. And we can look forward to Skyrora running these tests all summer long, so hopefully we get plenty of footage of the flamey stuff. And this is a great step forward from Skyrora. Skyrora were also recently featured on an episode of the BBC's Sky at Night, where we got a peek behind the curtain within the Cumbernauld facility. We got a look at most of the Skyrora XL being assembled, but notably absent was the first stage, with no explanation as to how far along in the manufacturing process this stage actually is. We did, however, get a nice look at the second stage and the upper stage, including that third stage tug that will carry satellites to their final orbital positions. That one was really cool to see for the first time. So, pretty good from them. They've been pretty quiet for most of the year, it's fair to say. But as we head into the back end of 2023, momentum really seems to be shifting their way. Obviously, they are planning for another launch of the Skylark L following that failed attempt in October 2022. And with this new batch of engine testing, if they can keep that momentum behind them, keep going, keep the progress coming, things will look very, very good for them indeed, heading towards 2024, when we're due to see their very first launch attempt of the new Skyrora XL. I wish them all the best, and I can't wait to see all of the amazing footage that we're going to get across the summer and beyond. So, a pretty good couple of weeks for UK space, and boy are things picking up just in time for the summer. What did you think of this week's news? Drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. You can also find me on Twitter at TheTomJune. But in the meantime, thank you all so very much for watching. I've been Tom June, and I'll see you next time.